Today, we are joined by someone who played an important role in the initial chapter of my US journey. She grew up in Indore, completed her engineering in India, and came to United States to pursue her master's degree at Purdue University. Like many other young, ambitious professionals, she went on to land a coveted role at Amazon, which is a dream destination for engineers worldwide. But her story doesn't stop at a global validation or corporate success. Listening deeply to her inner voice, she made a series of deep intentional choices. That is, leaving her corporate role, returning back to India, marrying the love of her life after a 10-year long relationship, or maybe more, and finally founding the Stepping Stone, a venture that teaches life skills to young children outside the traditional school hours. Her journey is about redefining ambition, choosing alignment over applause, and building a life rooted in love, purpose, and impact. This episode is especially for those who are navigating big life decisions, that is, career versus calling, global success versus grounded living, and the courage it takes to choose what feels right for you. She is perhaps the youngest guest on the show to join us so far, and easily one of the smartest people I have known. Or maybe that's just a Gen Z thing. She's smart, hardworking, and endlessly active. If people call me energetic, they really need to meet her. Please join me in welcoming Esha Chouthe to episode 9 of the Sunday Sitdown Subhi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good too. So are you excited to be part of this podcast and record yourself? This like interview with
Definitely. I mean, obviously, I think every kid, everybody has sat in front of the mirror and rehearsed a interview or something like that. So yeah, it's like a new thing that's, you can say, come true or something like that.
So before starting this episode 9 with you, Esha Chouthe, I'll explain you the rules, like basically what all segments I do with my other guest. So we have 3 segments. In the very first segment, I'll be asking you topics specific to your life journey. And in the second segment, I ask like same questions to all my guests about some life lessons that they learned in their 20s. And I know like you are reaching almost your late 20s. So you also have some lessons to reflect and can enlighten the audience. So definitely, so that would be helpful for somebody starting out in their 20s. And in the final segment, just to lighten the mood of the podcast and lighten the mood of our audience, we'll be having a chat over some playful questions, and I'll be expecting some funny answers from you on those questions. So so let's begin the episode with you.
Done. Let's start.
Like you grew up in Indore, and you did your engineering from Pune, Maharashtra. And so, would you like to share some light on your childhood? Like, how was it? How was your early childhood important in shaping your ambitions later on in life?
So I think growing up in Indore, since it's a comparatively slow-paced city, and it's a smaller city back then it was. So it was like very comfortable, and growing up, you knew everybody around and everybody knew you. And it just gave you a lot of space to grow and explore as a child. So we were not bound to anything. Like there was no jaldi karo, something like that. We were always laid back. We had our own time, our own schedules. And at the same time, coming from a business family, I've seen everything starting from my father taking some risks or successes, failures, him taking on different opportunities, and the typical table discussions, dinner discussions, or how do we do this or how do we do that. And also I grew up in a joint family, so it was always a lot of noise, a lot of laughter, and a lot of fun growing up. And and it kind of coming from a business family, it kind of shapes you in a way that you try to be more independent, and you try to take risks more, you try to venture out more, take on more new adventures, and you're always excited for the unknown. So I think that is one thing that shapes you or something like that.
That's amazing. So I know like in 2021, after a lot of struggle in COVID and in lockdown, we went to we came to United States. And so, like, what was your experience? Like, when you moved to United States, like, what was the first impression like this country had on you? Like, how did you face any cultural shocks? Like, what impression it created on you?
I think not a lot of people know about this, but US was never my first option. And yeah, I mean, I always wanted to go to another city to pursue another master's, all different thing that I had in my mind. But then thinking about it more practically as I grew up and when I took that decision, I thought US was a perfect spot for me to land on because it was more of practical learning, and obviously you get that OPT and you get to work there experience. So definitely that was very attractive. And once I first came to the US, sadly I think it's a reality for a lot of people, but you get more connected to your Indian roots when you move in the US. And it's like you feel more culturally related, or you feel a lot more connected to your Indian culture. And US in general is more of a melting pot of cultures. So there's not one major or one culture that you will see everywhere. It's like you see a little bit of that, a little bit of this. So it was an amazing experience for me culturally because I love to explore different cultures. I mean, if somebody comes and meets me for the first time and they ask what I like or what I would love to do, I would really love to experience culture, is what I say. And it was really amazing experience because I get to meet so many different people coming from so many ethnicities and countries, and it's like just talking to them and all of that. So more, it was a cultural shock in terms of how much I wanted to go back to my Indian roots. Yeah, that was a little unexpected of me. But apart from that, I was just enjoying and taking it all in, taking all the cultures and the experiences. So yeah, it was a really good experience that way.
Our program in Purdue University was very intense. It was like a 1 year course and it had 36 credits, and we had so many assignments and like so many exams and then so many projects to do, right? Like presentations and everything. And within that 1 year span, we also had job hunt to do. So it was an intense program. So, like, I would like to ask you about your experience. Like, how was your experience in your during your master's program, and what did it teach you professionally and personally? You can also share about how was your stay, like what kind of friends you met, like what interesting stories you have, to share, and also about like the coursework and how was the college and how overall everything, the entire experience taught you.
Purdue, those 9-10 months were amazing. So yeah, I mean, you were my flatmate, and we had so much fun, just endless parties in the community, or just going to some potlucks and just hustling from groceries to running with the grocery bags to catch the bus. So yeah, it was so much fun. But Purdue was a very eye-opening experience because you've always been sheltered here in India. And once you go out, like even though somebody comes to me and says, we moved out of the hometown for job in, like, let's say another Indian city. And I'm like, still you have that sheltered life here. But once you move out, it's like you're just on your own. So your flatmates or batchmates, they become a family. And then there's a sense of belongingness, and it almost feels like a second family to you. And at the same time, Purdue was a bit of a shock for me because I used to feel like graduating top of class and everything, I felt like I knew everything. I would do anything. But then when you get there, it's like everything that you learned till now, it was not really very practical, or even the job that I was doing, it just felt like peanuts. Because once you get there, it's like there's a whole new way of learning. You don't learn things the way you do back in India. And at the same time, it's a lot of practical learning. So for me, it was like I had to unlearn everything and then relearn a new way, a completely new approach. And definitely it was amazing because you get to do a lot many projects. You were always on the ground looking for things or doing your projects and tasks and everything practically. So it was a really great experience. It just widens your horizon and gives you a very new, fresh perspective. And at the same time, Purdue for me personally was like an eye opener again, because when I got to do some of these electives like strategy or even marketing that I did, I felt like it was like a calling to me. That was when, coming from an IT background, I felt like all those years were just waste. This is what I wanted to do actually. And this is what draws me, or this is what feels like me. So that is when I felt like this is what I actually should be doing. I never had that in my mind. But yeah, it kind of shaped my trajectory from there on. And definitely, personally, it was a very new experience. I evolved as a person. We cleaned our houses, we cooked for ourselves, we managed grocery, we managed our financials and everything. So it's like you grow up a lot in a very short time. So yeah, you're a completely changed person after that. So yeah, that was a very big moment for me. And also Purdue was a very good in terms of, I felt more connected to my family than I was before, because you somehow relate to every role. Like you relate to your father in terms of financial management, or learning how to even basic plumbing or something like that. I would just call him up and we'd bond over that. And sometimes when you felt emotionally vulnerable or low, I'd call my mom. Or when I would be cooking and she'd be like, see, I told you it's not just very easy. You have to, yeah, now you know how I feel. Now you know how. So yeah, you kind of bond with every person in your family, and it's much of like it's just a nostalgia that hits you in a very unpredictable way.
Now we'll move to the next chapter of your life, that is your career. So I do remember the last few months of our Purdue Masters course. It was like you're waiting for, like you were doing the job hunt, like, and when all the coursework, everything, assignments, everything had gotten over. So we were like doing a job hunt, and then we were waiting for our offers to come. Some of them took time. Some of them were waiting for like other work permits or something. It took some good amount of time. So, and we both landed in Amazon. So, yeah, we were happy. So, I would like to ask your experience specifically. So, firstly, like, how was your experience? Like, what was your feeling when you first heard that you got the job offer? Like, how did it feel? And second, when you were working in Amazon, like, what were the lessons it taught you? And what did it teach about you, like, about your own strengths, limits, and priorities? Yeah.
So when I first got Amazon, I still remember the final interview that we have. And there was this guy who asked me a simple question: what is regression? What is linear regression? And I gave the whole definition and explained him mathematically and everything. I did that. And then he's like, can you give me an example? And for some reason, I don't know why, I was so blank. And the only thing that I can remember was, if you're a farmer and if you have you have like two types of crop seeds, and you want to analyze how rain affects or something like that. And I have no idea why I went so deep into farming and how it can be represented in linear regression, that he started laughing. I was like, oh my god, I screwed this up so bad. And then I was like, just let it go. Even I started laughing, and then it was just a funny conversation thereon. So I did not really expect to land a role at Amazon, but yeah, when I got the call, I was like, okay, I mean, I might have said something good to have gotten this. But yeah, I was very happy. I was not expecting it. The reason why. But yeah, it was very amazing, because you've only heard people tell you, like, if you get a mang job, you've done it, you're living it and everything. And then when you actually get it, it's so amazing. I mean, you feel like you've accomplished everything, and it's the end. You don't have to struggle anymore. You got a really good job and everything. And also, it was a really good role. So I started as a associate analytics media manager. And I wanted a front role so bad. I wanted to talk to businesses, and I was very clear in my interviews as well that I want a front role, and I want to talk to these people. I want to see how these businesses grow. Again, this stems from Purdue and my childhood journey, that I've always been fascinated by this, and they were actually able to give me that role. So I was very happy because that was kind of my dream role. And working there, definitely Amazon is a hustle. It teaches you to grow so much in so short time. And definitely there's a lot many struggles, there's victories, there's just sad days, but it's like a really great experience because you get to see you get to meet such innovative people. I've never met such people in any of my other job roles or other companies, is because they don't talk to you about the project that you're working on or what you're working on. They'll just randomly talk about something else, and it's such a deep and meaningful conversation that you actually start to understand there's so much more to Amazon than just working there. And it did teach me a lot of my, like, I got to know a lot of my strengths, how I can actually work under pressure, how I can manage something. I always felt like I'm the youngest in the team. So how would I actually go and meet these people that are already in C suits or they're already executives? How do you talk with them? How would I feel in those meetings and everything? But when you are actually there and you nail it, is when you feel very confident and you feel like, yeah, you can do that. So that is something that Amazon gave me.
When you're working in Amazon, you got a chance to live in New York City. And then while we were studying, we were living in West Lafayette. So these two places are dramatically very different. One is a suburb where hardly you see anybody except for Purdue students. And they also, most of the times, they are inside the house or in a cafe doing projects or assignments. And out of 12 months, probably 8 to 9 months is snowing or it's very cold. So you cannot step out. And on contrary to that, you have a New York City, which is like any time of the day you step out, it's full of hustle, full of crowd. It's very chaotic. So how was your experience? Like when you try to find out the differences between the two and what impact it had on you? Like what was the impression it created on you?
West Lafayette, I related to Indore because it was again laid back. There's 60 plus retired community, or there's like Purdue students buzzing around. So it was the only struggle that we had was with walking in the snow and all of that. But when I lived in New York, it was more like you're a city that's faster than Mumbai. So, and then there's just so many people, there's so much crowd that at times, if you just don't pay attention, you might just miss a turn or you might end up in just another block or something. But yeah, I mean, I really have mixed feelings about New York. I love the city. I really do. There are some points that I really hate about it, and I think a lot of people would agree with it. But at the same time, I really feel like the city is always alive. It never sleeps. Even like I visited Times Square at like 3 a.m. or something, and there were still people walking around, even though the stores were closed and everything was closed. There were just people lounging and people having fun, or some people who just returned from a party or something like that. So, yeah, it's always lively. You'll always find people there. I'm a foodie, so I would really love going to either K Town or J Town or Little Italy, and I would just love trying out different places and different cuisines. So it was really amazing. I had such amazing experiences. So some ways you'll meet strangers that will feel like they'll feel like family, or they'll feel like they've been friends for so long. And so it's a great place, great experience. At the same time, it teaches you a lot. You're always on your feet, you're always running here and there.
So I think your US journey has been extremely great. So many interesting stories. Now I'll come to India. So, okay. So, like, first, okay, so when you left Amazon and when you came to India around in the middle of 2023, if I'm not wrong? Yes. Okay. So, and then last year you got married to your long term partner. I think you had a relationship of 10 years or more than that, maybe 12 years. Yeah, correct me. 30 years. Yeah, see, 30. I was going wrong somewhere, I know. But yes, so you got married to him and it was a grand marriage. Like, we could feel that. So, I would like to ask you about your relationship journey. Like, from like your college years to your job years and then finally up till 2023 or 2024, like how was your relationship evolving alongside your career journey?
So I think we've been friends before we decided to get in a relationship. But yeah, we started dating at the end of our school years. So back in 12th. And you've always, you see this person in school and how they are and everything. You meet with them, then you meet outside, you hang out with your friends. And then I decided to move to Pune for my engineering. And that was when we started our long distance journey. And our relationship was mostly long distance, more almost like 70-80% of it was long distance. And it was very hard at first because, you know, you're still young, you're teenagers, you're insecure, you're vulnerable. And at the same time, you're just so passionate. So it was very hard struggling your personal and like your career. But at the same time, we've been very strong willed and strong headed people. And he was very focused on his career, which was again very difficult. Like he was pursuing CA at the time. And at the same time, I was busy building my career. But we were always grounded in the terms that no matter how stressful the day is or how hard it is on you, you just connect with each other at the end of the day in the evening, and then you talk it out and you just unwind and you just feel very comfortable. And because we've been friends before that, so there's just this kind of comfort that I've always had with them. And definitely it's been, the long distance has been very difficult because after Pune, I moved to US. So it was like his day, my night, his day. So yeah, it was very tough. And it was a lot of adjusting and a lot of sacrifices on his part and mine as well. And obviously, there were misunderstandings. There were times when we felt so helpless, like we just wanted to be there. We missed each other's milestones. I missed his graduation, he missed mine. And so there's been a lot of missed opportunities and celebrations. But at the end of the day, because we stuck together, it was all very fruitful and all very happy. And now it feels like it's come a full circle. It was worth it. But that is also, I feel, that was very important because it shaped us as individuals. And we went on our separate journey. He is from a completely different discipline, and I'm from tech. He's a CA. So definitely, I think if we were in the same city, maybe we would have just rotated our lives around each other, and we would never have grown the way that we have now. Like, I have met these amazing people. He's met and he's had these amazing experiences. And maybe I feel like we would, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we would have had so many wonderful experiences if we were in the same city or something like that. But yeah, it's been really amazing that he got to have his own experiences and I had mine. And at the same time, we were a part of each other's lives. So yeah, that's really amazing.
That's beautiful and inspiring. Yeah, I think everybody should learn from this, especially the young people who are like, entering 20s. Yeah, they should learn from it. That's beautiful. So now we'll come to the stepping stone. So I think it's a great work. First of all, I would like to congratulate you. That's a great idea wherein we are trying to help the younger children, the future generation, and teach them life skills because yeah, I mean, I do understand like what's the importance of life skills and how like they are important part of a child's education, and it is missing in the current education system, be it in India or be it in United States or anywhere else. So yeah, I would want you to do the most of the talking about the startup. So first of all, like what like sparked the idea behind starting this company, like how it was developed, like when did you come up with this, and when did you get this courage to actually go on and take this as a profession?
After I came back to India, I worked for an AI company. It's called Mercor, and I worked there as a TPM. And I think after a few months, I felt like IT, or like this is where I feel more saturated with IT. And I felt like there's something that I should do of my own. And obviously, I was getting married and all of that. So I had to quit that job because, again, it was a startup and it was taking a lot of my time. After getting married, I was still settling in a new family. So I took a break and I was just trying to figure things out, like what I want to do, or which field I want to get into, or what industry I want to get into. And I had many ideas before the stepping stone, and everything just felt so appealing. Like I wanted to get into hospitality, then a few days later I wanted to get into, let's say, another industry. And I was just jumping from here to there. And it felt like it wasn't really that natural to me. And I don't know, I mean, I was just talking to a few of my friends that those, like, they just had kids. And I think the conversation just flowed. We were just talking about how different education was for us than it is going to be for them, because there's been a lot many changes in the education system. Because I think we had much of a carefree childhood. We did not have to bother, we did not have to go to multiple classes, or always feel like, you have to talk in English, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. You didn't join this particular class, oh, maybe you will be lagging behind. We didn't have all of that, but now kids do. I was just talking to my husband, and he was like, I've always been obsessed about Asian education system and how independent these kids are, how they get a lot much of practical learning and everything. And I think it was him who pushed me in this direction. He was like, you've had your own personal experiences, you know where the Indian system is lagging, or where there's a gap that you feel needs to be filled. Or since I've been so obsessed with the Asian system, he always pushed me to do something that's in my interest zone and at the same time is very new. So that is how the stepping stone came into works and in like actual form.
One thing I would like to ask, like, why do you think that learning life skills at young age is as important as the education system, like as important as the academic training? And like, let's say if you're talking to a lot of households over here through this platform, and there are so many mothers out there, so many fathers out there, and they have young children. And if you want to give some examples, like what kind of skills your children are, like their children are going to learn through your program, and how it is going to help them in their adulthood. So, what examples would you like to tell them?
Kids in the ages 3 to 8, that's when they are at the peak of learning. Their absorption power is at max. And it's very practical if you look at it. If you make them sit behind a desk and they're just learning what you ran into them, or they're just rotifying it, it will, I mean, I'm taking it a little bit scientific. There's no neuron development that's going to happen. So the human brain is so complicated, so complex, and it's got so much growth opportunities. So in that particular age, I'm missing the number, but there's that many number of neurons that are building every day. And if you just restrict the brain in a particular manner, or if you're not letting them grow, you're not letting them explore, that's when the neuron growth or this particular rate, it slows down. If you just get out of your comfort zone, you'll get to face so many problems, like so many challenges. At times, I've seen grown adults face problems speaking on a podium, talking to new people. They hesitate, they still don't know how to figure out what their emotions are, or just balance it out. And this problem is actually very alarming, because we just, as humans, don't know ourselves. We have zero emotional intelligence. We have zero, you can say, critical thinking. And when we face a problem, the first thing that hits us is not how can we solve it. It's about why is it happening to me. So I think we've been wired to not think. We just wired, or we just taught to, this is A, B, C, and this is how you should be doing it, and that's it. So if there's something, and I feel like, what if we teach all of this to young kids and make sure that they know how to emotionally vent themselves, or how to regulate their emotions, how to feel comfortable in who they are or what they are, and just making them that confident that they can get on a stage and speak about themselves. So if you build all of that in that age segment, I think it stays with you, because a lot of skill building, or a lot of, you can say, those are the foundation years. So I think even the schools are not focusing on life skills. Schools do work on English, they work on communication and everything, but there's still a very huge chunk that they're missing out on. It's just an initiative to bridge the gap and make sure that it's included in a child's learning.
That makes sense. So, are you teaching anything for stress management as well? And let's say how to deal with the fear of failure and fear of rejection, because that's what most.
So we don't really call it stress management. When you're talking to 4-year-olds, and if you say, when you're under stress, you have to do this, they'll be like, they'll just laugh at your face and they'll go, because they don't really know what stress is. But yeah, what I teach them is more of emotional intelligence and regulation. So the first step is to help them identify different emotions, and how, let's say, anger is different than frustration. So we play games and we teach them through that. So for example, they have to stand in front of a mirror and they have to act out an emotion that we ask them to. And they're given different scenarios, like, this person is talking or is feeling this way. What do you think that emotion is called? So it's very interactive. It's very, very personal. And we teach them through scenario based learning. So for example, like, I took a session on bullying, and it was like, if you feel the person sitting next to you, somebody comes and throws a chalk at him, how would you feel? Or how do you think he is feeling? And what should you do in that case? So I think that is how we help them understand these scenarios, and through such scenario based learning, and then you can take it up to emotional regulation. So if you feel angry, what do you do? Maybe you count to 10, or you take 5 deep breaths, or whatever you feel is working best for you. So I've had this anger jar where you would, like, I asked each and every kid to write it down on a chit of paper and put it in that anger jar. Like, what would you do if you're angry? So somebody said, I would just go and sit in the corner. I would not talk to my parents, or I would throw a toy, something like that. And we'd pick those chits up and we would randomly tell, okay, you're sitting in a corner. Fine. That's a way to calm yourself down. But maybe after that, you could just go back and talk to your parents and tell them that you felt angry or something like that. Or then we pick up another chit, and it's all anonymous. So, this person wrote, they throw toys. So we're like, don't you think your toys would break if you do that? You're at loss if your toy breaks, because I don't know if parents would keep on buying you different toys if you break them yourselves. And so you teach them the consequences of their actions as well, through anonymous talks and activities like that. And
So, as a founder, what are the struggles that you faced, and what did they teach you?
So the biggest struggle that I'm still facing is explaining this to parents. So a lot of parents come to me and they're like, "Oh, you're a hobby class. You teach art and crafts and stuff like that." And I'm like, "No, I don't teach and craft at all." And then they're like, "Oh, then do you take like tuitions or something like that?" I'm like, "No, I just cannot take anybody's homework. I am not the best person for do that. I don't do that." So it's very hard for me to explain it to them what the concept is or what the importance is. And some of the parents, they just lose you at the point when you tell them how life skills are important in shaping an adult, because they're like, "Oh, you're not an art and craft class, maybe I'll look for something else." So it's very hard for me to explain why it is so important for your kid and why you should actually be focusing on this rather than just art and craft or sports. It's equally important, but at the same time you also need to understand the importance of this. So it's a big challenge and I'm still navigating through it, like how to communicate and propagate my concept and this new way of learning to them, because it's still, I understand like my activities and my mode of teaching is all fun and games. So at times people feel it's not very serious.
So, is the stepping stone currently trying to teach? I know it is very early, at least for a 4 year old kid, but are they planning to teach something in the line of financial education, or not? Maybe because we did not have that and we are struggling as adults, right? So, and how are you planning to explain to them?
Yeah, so I am currently also taking up financial literacy with these kids, since like I'm just starting and sometimes I have new batch of kids, sometimes the older ones. So I start with financial terms and I make sure that they at least know what these terms are at the start. So I start with fun activity, let's say piggy bank coloring, and I give them those mud piggy banks that we used to have. They have fun painting it and decorating it and everything. And then you bring up a question. Like I love to personally go to each and every kid while they're painting and be like, "Do you know what this is?" And they're like, "Oh, piggy bank." And I'm like, "What does a piggy bank do?" Or, why is it used? And then they'll just say something like, "Oh, we keep our pocket money," or yeah, some relative gave us money, so we put it in there. And then I just try to push them the term savings. Like, "Oh, do you know what this is? You're going to put in money, and then once it's full, or whenever you feel the need to, you'll just open the piggy bank and then you'll take out the money and you'll buy something for yourself or anybody." And they're like, "Yeah, we do that." I'm like, "So basically you're saving for future. You want to buy something later and you're saving for that." So that is how we teach them financial terms. And once I feel like this particular set of kids are well versed with the financial terms, what my way of learning is I take it level up. So I'll give them more difficult terms or more difficult concepts like needs and wants. So what is a need and what is a want? And then I'll give them a fun activity to do.
I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of life lessons that you learned, like through your time in US, through your time in Indore and Pune and everything. So definitely your lessons will help the audience to learn something from it. So we saw that there will be times when things are not going according to how you want. There will be obstacles and roadblocks. So in those situations, how did you stay motivated? How you kept going?
I've had times when I've broken down or I've been like, I just can't go on anymore. But then I've had this very solid support system with me, starting from definitely my parents who are just always like, "You do whatever you want to. We're always there to help you. We're always there to, be there for you and help you out in any possible way." And at the same time, I've had my now husband who's always been pushing and been my biggest motivator. So whenever I fell down, he would always lift me up by saying that you've come a long way. You've achieved so many things along the way, and there's just so many things that you did not have in your plan earlier, but now you're doing it now. Is I know even though I fail, I'll have these set of people who'll always root for me. Even my husband's family is always supporting me, always helping me out, always they're there for me.
We see certain set of people like who do not like who bring negative vibes, who pull you down, and then there will be certain set of people who bring positive vibes to your life. They help you grow, they encourage you, they motivate you. So what are like those signs of red flags or green flags that we say? What are those signs to identify like which set of people are positive and which set of people are negative? What are those early signs, so that it helps people, young kids, identify it faster and waste less time?
More about who's there in your bad times. So, if in case, let's say you share a problem with a friend, and some friends might just laugh it off and just make it lighter for you, some might give you a solution, or some might just give you the space. Like, you calm down, figure it out, I'll be there, we'll be here. But then there's a set of people who'd bank on it. They'll be like, oh, you're feeling down. They'll just give you a facade that they're supporting you, but at the same time, they'll be telling other people about it. They'll make you feel like your problems are just so small. This is nothing to be sad about or feel bad about. Like you're being unreasonable. They just invalidate your feelings. I feel those set of people, that's a very big red flag for me.
Okay, so if you get a chance to meet a 19-year-old Esha again, what advice would you tell her to live her 20s differently?
I tell her to be more patient, because I think I've always been focused on what I'm doing now, that I never really thought about what I actually wanted to do. So I took a very long path to get here. And so, yeah, I think I just tell her to be more patient, and things will just fall in its place. It will just happen. You'll figure it out.
Now we'll begin the final segment with you. So this is like a fun segment. All of my guests enjoy this. And yeah, I mean, the podcasts are usually for heavy discussions and intellectual discussions, but I believe like we should have certain elements like this so that it's also entertaining for the audience. Like this is the segment for them. So yeah, my first question to you would be, if you get to swap your life with somebody for a day, who would that person be?
Well, I don't have a name for it, but maybe some travel host. I would love to swap with them. I'll just carefree roam around and explore new places and be paid for it rather than paying for it. Yeah. And on other thoughts, maybe my dog. I just love to be a lazy person who's always entitled for love and support without doing anything and still pass out like they work 9 to 5.
So if somebody gets to play you in a movie, who would that person be? It can be a celebrity and it can be a non-celebrity, whoever you want to choose.
Definitely, I would want Alia Bhatt to play me. Like, come on, she's the best. Everybody looks up to her, and she's like this amazing person, and she's a really good actor, a versatile one. So it would be a privilege if she plays me. Yeah. But yeah, there's no harm in wishing.
Yeah. Okay, so if some background song is being played on your life, maybe in a movie or like on a show or something, then what song would that be? You can take an English song or a Hindi song, whichever you like. You can also take both if you have two songs in your mind.
So yeah, the honest answer would be that background song that is played in those Hindi soap operas, Dhoom Tana. That feels more or like my vibe. But if I have to choose a song, then maybe Rubaru from Rang De Basanti. Maybe I love that song. And I would love to live those lyrics.
So what's your go-to comfort food at 2 a.m. at night? I mean, so this was like what do you say? I mean, not everybody stays awake at 2 a.m. So for others, it was like, okay, fine, some interesting question. For you, it would be like, okay, this is like a part of my daily routine only.
Yeah,
So yeah, for you, it would not be like something which is very unexpected, but still I'll ask that question to you.
So it's either a bar of dark chocolate or it's a whole pasta for me. So yeah,
Okay.
those are my go-to foods and mostly on my Zomato orders.
So congratulations, Esha Chouthe. We have reached the
Yeah.
end of episode 9 with you. The answers were lovely, especially the ones that you gave, about your journey, about your life journey from to Pune to Purdue and then to Amazon and the entire experience that you had in United States, the kind of insights you gave in, the kind of culturally what you learned in United States, and then how was your relationship with Abhishek? Abhishek is now husband and then boyfriend. So how it evolved, how was the entire journey with him, and how you had long distance with him, or still your relationship like stood like very strong through the entire time. So that was very inspiring. And then the entire thing about the stepping stone. I'm definitely like I'll ask my audience to, especially who are young, like who have just have young kids now, parents over there, like moms, dads. So because most of the millennials have turned parents now, so I would really want this section of audience to watch this podcast and watch especially the segment when she's talking about the stepping stone. Basically, what was her inspiration, her motivation to start that, and then what kind of skills they are teaching, and how is it going to help young kids like sort of grow into very smart, wise, emotionally aware adults, and obviously what impact it's going to create, and how important is that along with the academic training as well. So I think thanks for sharing all those insights. And I'm also hoping like segment 2 and 3 were very entertaining for our audience to hear, especially segment 2. It would be entertaining for your loved ones to like see like, okay, how Esha has changed over the years, and how she has grown as a person. So definitely I'm expecting a lot of great feedback from this episode and from the answers. So before wrapping it, I have like two small questions for you. So if there is one word if your family or friends will use to describe you, what would be that?
Very stubborn, I
Okay.
think, or maybe very unfiltered
Okay.
would be better.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I've been unfiltered throughout my life and I will be future as well.
Okay. Okay. So this is like a special mention to the audience that throughout this entire podcast, she has been filtered. This is not the unfiltered version of her. Okay. Only her friends and family get to see this. And fortunately, I got a chance to see this while I was a roommate for a year. But yes, yeah, she is unfiltered as a personality mostly. But then, yeah, through this podcast, she has now shown that side to all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final question would be, what would be your message to young people? It could be like early teenagers, because since you are the owner of the stepping stone, changing the question for you. This message could be for early teenagers, late teenagers, people who are in early 20s. And also along with that, I'll request you to give some message to my audience and to the show, so Sunday Sit Down is Subhi also. Yeah.
So my advice in general would be to not doubt yourself. And obviously there are times when you do that and it comes very often, sadly. But it's always best to just feel whatever you're feeling, and at the end of the day just motivate yourself, not doubt yourself, and always be your own biggest cheerleader. And yeah, that's about it. And apart from that, for the Sunday sit down, definitely looking forward for more of such content. And it's great that you have this platform where you're bringing people from different backgrounds and different journeys, and it's amazing that people that are watching would be able to absorb so much and learn from our experiences, and hopefully make better decisions, better choices. So yeah, it's really inspiring that you're doing this.